Hello students, today we will start the development of embryo in plants. The development of embryo is also known as embryogeny. In this topic you will study about that how the fertilized egg, that is zygote, develops into the embryo, how embryo gives rise to the new plant, and this development of zygote into the embryo, this is called embryogeny. I have already drawn here the diagram of embryogenesis. The same diagram is there in your NCERT book, but the details description is not there. This diagram is very important. So, you please look here that how embryo is formed inside the plant. This is the zygote. As you know, the ploidy of the zygote is, it is diploid in nature. The zygote develops into the, first of all, it divides by mitotic division into two unequal cells. And these two unequal cells are called apical cell and basal cell. The apical cell further divides, and after the repeated division it forms the haustorium. Actually these cells are called haustorium. This is called vesicular. The labelings are not there, but this is haustorium. The apical cell, especially after the repeated division, cell division, it forms the embryo which looks in spherical in shape. This is called globular embryo because the cell, apical as well as the basal, these two cells divide repeatedly. Then the embryo, it becomes globular, spherical in shape. This is also called pro-embryo. The pro-embryo, or you can say the globular embryo, further divides. Then the embryo, it looks heart-shaped in structure. The size of the haustorium, it becomes very short. Actually, the function of the haustorium is to absorb the food from the endosperm. It takes the food from endosperm and gives to the embryo. When the embryo, it becomes fully matured like this, the haustorium, it finally, and vesicular also, it finally gets disappeared. So this is the advanced stage of the embryo. In this diagram I have shown here the radicle. This one is the plumule. As you know, radicle is the part of an embryo which gives rise to the future root, and plumule is the part of an embryo which gives rise to the future shoot, SHOOT, and shoot, it consists of the stem and leaves both. The cotyledons, these two are the cotyledons. The cotyledons stores food material for the successful germination of the embryo. When the embryo develops into the young one, seedling, the cotyledons gives the food material to the germinating seed. So all these diagrams are related with the embryogeny. Now, what are the parts of the embryo? As you know, the embryo is of two types, dicot embryo and monocot embryo. Here two diagrams I have drawn. This is the dicot embryo, the diagram of the dicot embryo, and this one is the diagram of monocot embryo. How many parts are there of an embryo? It's very important question that name the parts of an embryo. Each embryo has two parts mainly, and these two parts are the cotyledons and embryonal axis. The embryonal axis is further. It forms the two parts, that is radicle and plumule. The cotyledons, I have drawn here, the cotyledons stores the food material for the germination of the embryo, for the germination of the seed. And radicle, as I told you, radicle is the part of an embryo which gives rise to the future root, and plumule is the part of an embryo which gives rise to the future shoot. This is dicot embryo, and this is the diagram of the monocot embryo. Please see here the differences in between the dicot embryo and monocot embryo. Actually, dicot embryo present in all the dicot plants like mango, neem, sunflower, rose. All these plants, they are dicot plants. So the dicot plants, they are having what kind of the embryo? Dicot embryo. And all the grasses, including the crops like wheat, maize, rice, the grasses, they are monocot plant, and the monocot plant, their embryo is called monocot embryo. In dicot embryo, dicot, cot means cotyledons. In dicot embryo, two cotyledons are there, while in monocot embryo, there is a single cotyledon, and that single cotyledon is known as scutellum. Sometimes there may be the question that what is the name of the cotyledon present in the monocot embryo, and this is called scutellum. So in dicot, two cotyledons are there. In monocot, a single cotyledon is there, and this single cotyledon is known as scutellum. The embryo has either it is dicot or monocot, it has, as I told you, a part that is embryonal axis. The portion of the embryonal axis above to the level of the cotyledons, you can see here, these two are the cotyledons of the dicot plant, dicot embryo, and both the cotyledons are joined together here at a point. This is called embryonal axis. The embryonal axis, further it forms the epicotyl and hypocotyl. What is epicotyl? Epicotyl is the portion of the embryonal axis above to the level of the cotyledon. So this portion from here up to here, this is called epicotyl. The portion of the embryonal axis above to the level of the cotyledon, this is called epicotyl. And the portion of the embryonal axis below to the level of the cotyledon, this is called hypocotyl. It means epicotyl and hypocotyl both are the parts of the embryonal axis. The second, epicotyl, this part, this epicotyl terminates into the plumule. It terminates into the here plumule, which gives rise to the shoot, that is stem and leaf, and this hypocotyl terminates into the radicle, which gives rise to the root. So this is all about the dicot embryo. In monocot embryo, you can see here, this is the plumule which gives rise to the shoot apex. The shoot apex is well protected by a sheath, by a covering. This is called coleoptile. It's very, very important. The coleoptile is absent here in dicot embryo. In dicot embryo, the shoot apex, which is formed by the plumule, the shoot apex is not protected by the coleoptile. And the root apex is protected by the root cap, and this root cap is again protected by coleorhiza. The coleorhiza is the protective layer of the root cap, of the radicle, and coleoptile is the protective sheath of the shoot apex. The coleoptile and coleorhiza both are absent here in the case of dicot embryo. The root cap is present in both of the cases, in dicot as well as in monocot, but the root cap is not protected by coleorhiza in dicot embryo. So once again you can learn the differences between the dicot embryo and monocot embryo. This is very, very important. The dicot embryo has two cotyledons. The monocot embryo has a single cotyledon, and this single cotyledon is known as scutellum. In dicot embryo, the shoot apex, here is actually the plumule is present, here the shoot apex is there. In dicot embryo, shoot apex is not protected by coleoptile, but in monocot embryo, the shoot apex is well protected by a sheath that is called coleoptile. In dicot embryo, the root cap, the radicle, or you can say the root apex, is not protected by the coleorhiza, means coleorhiza is absent here, and here in monocot embryo, the root apex is well protected by coleorhiza, means coleorhiza is present here. So these are the differences in between dicot and monocot embryo. And if the question is there, what is embryo and how many parts of the embryo? So embryo means when embryo is the product of zygote. When the zygote divides repeatedly, it forms embryo, and embryo gives rise to the new plant because it is the product of the zygote. Each embryo has how many parts? What I told you, each embryo has mainly two parts. These are cotyledons and embryonal axis. Embryonal axis is further divided into the radicle and plumule. The radicle gives rise to the root system, and plumule gives rise to the shoot system, that is stem and leaves, and cotyledons stores the food material. When a young plant, initially it germinates into the new plant till the leaves come. Initially the food materials are being provided by cotyledons. When the leaves they appear into the seedling, the cotyledons get disappeared. So that's all about the embryogeny. The diagrams are very, very important, and about the dicot embryo and monocot embryo. Now, the next heading is development of seed. Development of seed. As you know, the seed is the matured form of the ovule. Initially, before fertilization, we use the term ovule, or you can say megasporogenesis, which is present inside the ovary. But after fertilization, the ovule is converted into the seed. So seed is the matured ovule which is formed after fertilization. And especially if this is the, as I told you about the anatropous ovule. In the anatropous ovule, the outer covering is, outer covering is integuments. The integuments, it forms the seed coat. This is the seed coat. Means seed coat is the product of integuments. The seed coat also has two layers. That is outer seed coat, and this one is the inner seed coat. The outer seed coat is the product of outer integument, and inner seed coat is the product of inner integument. Just you can remember that I taught you that the ovule has two layers, outer integument and inner integument. The outer integument, after fertilization, it forms the outer seed coat, and that is called testa. This is also called testa, and the inner seed coat is called tegmen. So testa and tegmen, these two are the seed coat layers. Testa is the outer layer of the seed, and tegmen is the inner layer of the seed, and these two layers are the product of integuments. The seed helps in the process of dispersal. When the seeds are carried out from one place to another place, the seed can germinate into the new plant, and seed act as the propagule. I am telling you the functions of the seed. Seed act as the propagule, means the structure which can produce the new plant. Actually, the seed has, if anybody is asking how many parts are there of a seed, each seed has two parts, that is seed coat and embryo. So seed coat, it protects the seed, protects the embryo, and embryo is the part of the seed which can give rise to the new plant. I have already talked about the embryo. So simply the seed is made up of the two parts. The outer covering is called seed coat, and inside the seed the embryo is present. When the embryo gets matured, the seed coat gets ruptured and the embryo comes outside and can give rise to the new plant. The seeds are of two types: endospermic seeds and non-endospermic seeds. On the basis of the presence of endosperm, whether endosperm is present or not, the seeds are classified into two groups, and these are endospermic and non-endospermic seeds. What do you mean by endospermic seeds? The endospermic seeds are also known as albuminous seeds. The endospermic seeds or albuminous seeds are those seeds having endosperm. Means in such type of seeds, the endosperm is not completely utilized during the process of embryo development, and the remains of endosperm is present even after the seed formation, and such type of seeds are called albuminous or endospermic seeds. Earlier I have taught you about endosperm like castor, maize, wheat, coconut. These seeds are albuminous seeds. And non-endospermic seeds are the seeds in which the endosperm is completely utilized and the remains of endosperm is absent. There is no endosperm at all in such type of seeds, and these seeds are called non-endospermic seeds or non-albuminous seeds like pea plant, pea, the seeds of the pea, beans. These are non-endospermic seeds. The examples are very, very important, and especially you have to learn the examples which are given in your NCERT book. You please note down that how many examples are there in endospermic and non-endospermic seeds. Groundnut is also, the seeds of the groundnut is also non-endospermic. These two examples are given, pea and groundnut, in non-endospermic, and endospermic wheat, maize, coconut. These are the examples of endospermic seeds. Now, there is a term that is perisperm. It's very, very important. Perisperm. What do you mean by perisperm? It is given in your NCERT. The persistent nucleus. Persistent nucleus is called perisperm. In some of the seeds, in some of the plants, even after the seed formation, the remains of the nucleus, which is the part of the ovule, just you can remember, the nucleus is persists even after the seed formation, and the persistent nucleus is called perisperm, and the perisperm is found in the plant black pepper. Black pepper, the edible part of the black pepper is the nucleus. The perisperm is found in black pepper and beet seed also. Now, one more topic is there that is called, related to this one, dormancy. What do you mean by dormancy? As I told you, the seed contains embryo. When the seed is formed, the seed loses the water, and the micropyle, which is the part of an ovule, the point of the micropyle is still present even after the seed formation as a minute aperture through which the seed takes oxygen, it absorbs water from outside, and the oxygen and water both they enter through the opening micropyle and they help in the germination of the seed. When the seed matures, sometimes the embryo enters into a stage of inactivity. Means maybe the embryo is not matured, they are not capable to produce the new plant, and this inactivity of the embryo inside the seed is called dormancy. Means the seeds have been entered into which stage? Dormant stage. And because of the immature, it may be because of the immature embryo. So dormancy is the inactivity of the embryo in which the embryo is unable to produce the new plant. But after it is the inactive stage. After the completion of this dormancy period, now the embryo can give rise to the new plant, the seeds can germinate. So after overcoming of the dormancy period, when the seed embryo gets the proper environmental conditions, that is light, temperature, humidity, means all the favorable conditions, when they are present, the seeds can germinate into the new plant. The seed coat will rupture and embryo comes outside and can produce the new plant. So seed, you have to learn what is seed, the product of, I taught you the product of ovule after fertilization, the parts of the seed, the functions of the seed. It is act as the propagule to produce the new plant. It helps in the process of the dispersal. And then you have to learn about the perisperm, then the dormancy. Now the next heading is fruit. The fruits are of how many types? 2 types, that is true fruit and false fruit. What do you mean by true fruit? What is fruit first of all? After fertilization in plant, the ovary is converted into the, suppose this one is the ovary containing ovule, this one is the ovule, ovary converted into the fruit, and I told you ovule is converted into the seed, and remaining parts they get disappear. So fruit is the product of ovary. It is the ovary is transformed into the fruit after fertilization. The ovary wall, this is the ovary wall, the fruit wall is known as pericarp. It is the ovary wall, it is converted into the pericarp. The pericarp also, how many parts are there? 3 parts, epicarp, mesocarp and endocarp. Means the fruit wall, these are the fruit wall. The whole fruit is known as, the ovary wall is converted into the pericarp. Pericarp, it is fruit you can consider. And the pericarp has how many parts? 3 parts, epicarp, mesocarp and endocarp. Epicarp is the outer layer of the fruit. The mesocarp is mainly the part generally which stores the food, and endocarp is generally attached with the seed. You can see here with the diagram, suppose this is the fruit of mango, this one is the seed, and this whole structure just above to the seed, this is called fruit. Fruit walls, this outer layer, the green color in structure or yellow after ripening, epicarp, and this part, the central part, mesocarp, and innermost part of the fruit wall is called endocarp. So pericarp or ovary wall or the fruit wall have three parts: epicarp, mesocarp and endocarp. Overall, the fruit is the product of ovary which is formed after fertilization. The fruits are of two types: true fruits and false fruits. What are true fruits? The true fruits are always produced by ovary. The fruit which is produced by the ovary only, it is called true fruit. Like in the case of mango plant, the fruit is true fruit. What depended false fruit? In false fruit, the fruit is produced not from the ovary. Along with the ovary, some other parts like thalamus is also associated with the fruit formation. Like in the case of apple, the fruit is false fruit. The part generally you consume in apple, actually that is the thalamus part. So if the fruit is not produced by the ovary, if it is produced by some other floral parts like thalamus, this kind of the fruit is known as false fruit. The fruits may be perishable or may be dry if they are having the water contents. The fruits are perishables like watermelon, mango. These are the perishable fruits, and the almond and other fruits. Some fruits are dry fruits also, in which the water contents are very less or there is no water content, and you can keep the dry fruits so longer duration at your home. But perishable fruits, their shelf life is very less. It can be stored 3 days, 4 days, 2 days, not more than that.